you don't have firearms, that means the criminals can walk into my house, rape my wife, kill my kids, do exactly what they want, and I'll basically be powerless to stop it.
They say that this is a democratic country. So make it a democratic country. Give the people the right to have guns, to protect yourself.
I wouldn't say it's a black and white issue. It's a government versus the people issue.
My personal freedom is at stake.
South Africa, a society increasingly divided against itself, between the haves and the have-nots, between armed predators and disarmed victims, and between the government and the governed. Now that government is plotting with the gun ban movement, blaming the country's rampant violent crime on individual freedoms.
There's no way you reduce the crime rate by taking away the lawful firearms. That's committing suicide.
The long-term agenda is without a doubt to disarm the private civilian. There's no question about that.
Total disarmament.
They want to make South Africa a country where the ordinary citizen will not have a firearm.
Reducing gun ownership by passing more gun laws in a country that already has some of the strictest in the world. Now pushing a lifetime limit of one firearm for self-defense, compelling all registered gun owners to reapply, and increasing licensing fees, an open all-out war against private firearm ownership.
Our ultimate goal in gun-free South Africa is no guns in private hands at all. That's our long-term aim.
Unfortunately, the politician that says that he's got 6 bodyguards that he carries with firearms, no less, that protect him. So yes, normal rules don't apply to him. Normal crime does not apply to him. They must get into the real world.
The real world where justice turns a blind eye and crime knows no boundaries.
It's happening to you, and it's happening to your family, and it's happening to people you know all the time. And it doesn't stop, it doesn't go away, it just gets worse and worse every day.
A fisherman attacked by 2 criminals, one with a record a mile long and armed with a stolen 9mm pistol.
That gun was coming straight at my head, and it was going to be used. If I had not been armed, I would have been dead. It's that simple.
A farmer whose father was shot to death. Now, there are as many as 15 senseless murders on farms every month.
The police haven't got the capacity to protect the people, so he's got to do it himself. And that is being taken away from him now with the new legislation.
And police officers carjacked, targeted for their guns. The numbers startling. Since 1994, nearly 1,300 police officers killed in the line of duty.
The guys are dying out here. Just outside our unit, we had a policeman killed about 3 weeks ago. And it's bad, and it's not getting any better.
Families who can afford security have locked themselves in, hoping to lock the criminals out, living in high-walled compounds surrounded by electric fences and razor wire.
We have become prisoners in our own home.
And don't tell these people living in the townships that tougher gun laws will make their communities safer. Terror is a constant companion because the lawless have free rein. Many of the people here in the township we talked to didn't want to be interviewed on camera for fear of speaking out or being disloyal to the government they elected. But at the very same time, they say, this is not what they expected. They finally elected a government they thought would give them the freedom to own a firearm, and now that very same government they entrusted wants to deny them and every other law-abiding South African that right. But for these people here, a firearm is their only insurance, their only protection, because they can't afford security and they can't rely on the police.
If you phone the police, you tell them, hey, I've been attacked on gunpoint. They say, no, come down to the station. We're also afraid we won't come. They come down and report their matter and open up a case.
Quite often, in many cases, they have raped the man's wife or his daughters in his presence because they have the firearm and he had absolutely nothing to defend himself. Now that is really tragic.
Police admit they're undermanned, undertrained, and outgunned by criminals. Storage rooms at police departments filled with illegal confiscated guns, AK-47s and sawed-off shotguns, taken away from street thugs who aren't taken off the streets.
The criminal in this country has to be taught to fear the law-abiding citizen. Because at this stage of the game, they do exactly what they want to who they want, and nobody stops them.
Police who can't protect the people, a justice system that won't, and a government that doesn't trust its citizens to protect themselves, insisting on stripping them of their gun rights.
It's a movement fueled behind the scenes right here at the United Nations, backed by a well-financed global network that's gaining manpower, money, and momentum fast.
The global mission would be a relatively gun-free future for the world's people.
The funding for this particular draft, the proposed legislation, has come from a number of sources. The two prominent ones are the United Kingdom. The British government provided money. The United Nations Crime Commission provided funding.
It's a movement in which South African gun owners know they're not the first and won't be the last. But they're not willing to give up or give in, because they've learned firsthand that a nation's freedom depends on their right to bear arms.
If the government wants to take our firearms back, they're declaring war.
We're not going to buy into this, and whatever it takes, we will do it.
If the government wants the firearms from us, they must come and collect the firearms. And I'm not going to just hand it over to them.
The day they disarm us that'll be the end.
A global threat, a tide of total firearm prohibition, and a plea to American gun owners for a united front to meet it head on.
They must look out and they must support us in this whole situation, because if we're going to fall down, they're going to be the next.
What I would say to them is that they're sleeping through a revolution. When they wake up, it will also be happening in their own country.
In fact, it is happening in the USA. The first steps are already taking place. Wake up, support the NRA, support the people who are fighting for their rights.
Guys, guard your guns. Don't let them pass another law.
Once they've taken it, that's it. You won't get it back.